Hello, my name is Mark Kogel, Director of Vancouver Photo Workshops, and I welcome you all to this exclusive interview with Master Photographer Joe McNally. This conversation was recorded in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, at the site of Joe's second workshop with Vancouver Photo Workshops, which took place in December 2008.
6, 7, 8.
All right, good. Joe, I was wondering, can you tell me a little bit about your passion for teaching and your approach for sharing your knowledge?
One of the things about teaching that I really enjoy and motivates me a great deal is I can borrow the same reason from photography. It's a very human thing to do. You interact constantly with people and you get energy from that, and are able to, give energy back into it. I also feel very strongly about the process of mentoring in photography because I had the benefit of having good mentors along the way in my early career who really kind of shaped the direction of the way I shoot and who I became as a photographer over time. So that's a good thing to give back. I think it's a worthwhile endeavor.
I think, and more specifically, just about your approach to sharing. You're very open. You build your scenes from nothing, and you're willing to make mistakes. I think that's a great approach. But can you speak just a little bit more about that?
Sure. I do very much believe there are no secrets in this business. People who hold secrets, they don't make good teachers, let's put it that way. And that's fine. My approach to doing this is to be open, to share what I do, who I am behind the camera. Again, this very human element of teaching also correlates to having a human being in front of your camera and doing a portrait. So there is an interaction. There's the occasional false step, where you have to retreat from and redirect. There are things that you do that all of a sudden you realize, that's not going to work. When you share that with a class, it humanizes the process of learning for sure, and also makes you as a teacher much more accessible and approachable. I can't tell you how many people have looked at me and says, God, I never thought you made a mistake. I'm like, dude, I make mistakes all the time. This is a business where mistakes are a time-honored, part of the profession. And any photographer who tells you differently is just giving you, just a bunch of hooey, really, or selling you short.
A little bit more on that. What's a photo shoot or a photo job that's affected you emotionally the most in your career?
Well, I think
blindsided you even.
Yeah, I think, there's been a number of assignments I've felt have been really, really important to do. Certainly on an emotional level, not that it was unexpected, but certainly the weight and overall scope of the emotion of the project I engaged in New York City after 9/11 was very powerful and rings true to me to this day. Mostly because I'm still in touch with people. This week alone, in the last 3 days, I've gotten 2 phone calls from 2 New York City firefighters who I'm very good friends with since the days of 9/11. And when you make a bridge like that and it becomes a permanent part of your life, that in and of itself is a life-changing event that you've achieved through photography. You have the impetus to go do these pictures. That's the main thing. Okay, so you deliver these pictures, but what remains with you afterwards? Obviously, you look at the pictures, other people do as well, they're your pictures, all that's fine. But what remains for me most powerfully from an event and an assignment or a project like that is the emotionally deep and closely held relationships.
You call yourself a generalist, and you've shot a lot of different jobs over the years, but do you have anything that you would consider your personal work, or do you have a personal strain or a personal line of work that you really identify with?
I actually don't. My magazine work is my personal work and vice versa. Thankfully, I've been blessed by getting an array of assignments over the years that I probably would have gone and done anyway. If I have a dominant thread to the work that is more personal for me, I guess it would have to be involved with the human body, more specifically the human body in flight. I've photographed athletes, dancers, and stage and theater people my whole career. I've always been fascinated with those folks who perform that magic on stage that are the benefit to all of us. And I've always been fascinated by that world, the world of the performer, the behind-the-scenes feel of a stage or a theater. And I've been also continuously fascinated with dance, in particular because I think it's so expressively beautiful and it is one of the high moments, if you will, of the human body or what the human body can achieve.
You've been doing workshops over a lot of different locations, different cities, even maybe different countries. What makes Vancouver, as a location for a workshop, unique to others?
I like it here in Vancouver. That's certainly an appeal for me. People have been very gracious to me here. I've worked here a number of times professionally as well as taught here. Always received a warm welcome. That's very important. The other thing that I find is the soul of Vancouver, I think, at its core is very creative. People are involved and interested in the arts and theater and drama and photography and storytelling and fashion and whatever else it may be, film and all those related arts where you're relying a great deal on visuals to get across the point. So I've felt I've encountered like-minded individuals here, and I enjoy working in that atmosphere.
Can you sum up your overall experience with Vancouver Photo Workshops?
Sure. My experience with Vancouver Photo Workshops has always been very, very positive. I wouldn't come back if it wasn't, because I have been in situations teaching where I feel like the structure of the workshop perhaps or there's impediments that are placed in the way of teaching. I don't want to be hindered like that. Life is too short. You have to move on. But what you find here with the photo workshops is that it's a very conducive atmosphere. It's very relaxed. It's very informal. We can kind of freewheel our schedule. We can move a class along at its own pace. There is as I say, a creative aspect to the community here that you can plug into quite readily, and I think it influences the whole teaching atmosphere.
Well, thanks, Joe, for visiting us again. Hopefully we see you again next year.
All right, sounds good.